Welcome to the HU Move Makers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Hello and welcome to the HU Move Maker podcast, where we highlight folks in Howard culture that are making moves and setting trends. Today I got a special guest in the building. I got a hip-hop artist, an actor. Man, Howard University's own, man. HBO's The Wire. What y'all know about Fletcher? Fletcher, that you? Man, we're talking about the EP. What Jennifer taught me, this brother was born blessed. How to Get Away with Murder. Yeah, is that you? From How to Get Away? That's him, y'all. Holmes, Goliath, Green Juice, Busy Being Lazy. Man, that's a deep one right there. And you know, Fly Walkie, man, that's a new joint that just dropped.
Phil Walkie,
my bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Told you how much research I did. But Brandon Young, what's up, man?
So what's going on, Josh? How are you, man?
Campus Pal. Variety show chair and all of that. Right here in the flesh, man.
What's happening?
Weren't you with Tamika? Didn't y'all pick pals? Weren't y'all like?
We did selections. The year we graduated, 2003, we did selections.
Yeah, y'all was like hazing. I mean, initiating young folks into the work. What happened to Campus Pals, man? It don't exist no more, bro. You know that.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't exist, dog. They got kicked off the campus for hazing.
Are you serious?
That's a heart attack, man. Yeah, serious. It's going on like 5 or 6 years, man.
Wow, I didn't know about that, man. Well, I'm glad we got in there soon enough to experience it. I mean,
yeah, reaped all the benefits. I guess something got out of hand, but I wasn't a part of that, obviously, and obviously you weren't. But I think as like social media, because I think about the difference from when we came into Howard to now, like the stuff you exposed to just on social media and all of that. I think stuff probably like went crazy, you know. But
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, man. So you in LA, right?
Yes, I am.
You in LA, man. You acting. You doing the music. Where do I begin, man? So you know, you go from Philly to Howard to HBO's The Wire, and now it's your 7th album, hip hop album.
Yes.
Man, let's talk about that journey, man. Where do we begin? With Young B?
Well, let's start with the present, and then we can go back to the beginning.
Let's start with the present, man. Tell me about this album, because when I talked to you, you told me it was your best one yet.
Yeah, I feel as though that is true. You know, they say in the culture, it takes your whole life to make your first album, right? Right. So up until this point, I mean, I've been rapping for a long time. You know, I've been rapping in different groups, rapped in bands. I rapped in punk rock bands when I was in high school. Anywhere I can get mic and rap, I would take that opportunity. So now, I mean, I've been doing projects up until this point. I finally found a close friend who makes beats, who we could really lock in together. We have good chemistry.
Yo, it's some good tracks on there. It's some dope beats on there. I was like,
thank you.
I almost grabbed a pen my damn self. I was like, yo, I almost grabbed a pen my damn self and start rapping. Like, yo, shit, honey, this insurance ain't about to work out. I'm about to start rapping for real.
Well, that's courtesy of my brother Has Solo, Midwest brother from Milwaukee, and we've been locked in for a minute now as far as this Phil Walkie project. Let me show it to you, actually. So this is the album right here. Phil Walkie, Be Young and Has Solo. We've been working on this for about 2 years. The recording process and the beat making took about 8 months.
Damn.
And then the other, 16 months? Took, my math may be wrong, but the other months it took, we were just patient. It was just plans and plots to find the right avenue and the right time to present it.
So tell me, man, about LA, because you initially moved to LA not even to do the acting. You moved there to focus on music, man.
Yeah, I moved to LA in the spring of 2008. That's when The Wire was on television. And I felt as though it was a good opportunity to experience something new, to change coasts, and just to experience life in a different way, to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, I wouldn't have moved out here if it wasn't for the television credit. You know, I would have been back in Philly still. But I felt as though it provided me an opportunity to change my standard of living, to upgrade my standard of living. And so I kind of took that jump. And yeah, the focus was music, because a lot of the music that I was hearing from LA at that time was stuff that was very creative and it was unexpected. It wasn't pop Hollywood, and it wasn't, 90s gangster rap that you commonly think of when you think of LA West Coast music.
Mm-hmm.
It had a certain vibe that reminded me of Philly neo soul type.
Really?
That I kind of related to. Yeah, absolutely. The different underground hip hop and R&B stuff.
Are you heavy in that world, in that underground world of hip hop out there in LA?
I mean, I'm beginning to, now that we've got the record out, now that it's physical and it's in hands. Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely people that I know, DJs, different MCs or different graphic designers that are involved in independent hip hop culture here in Los Angeles. And it's all connected with fashion and photography and dance and entrepreneurship. And there's a thriving community of artists who are, making cool, good, enjoyable music and art that may not reach the mainstream masses. But if you have your ear to the street, then wow, like this is nourishing art, this is good stuff. And that's the stuff that I was getting privy to when I was in Philly. And it was just kind of like, wow, like maybe LA isn't what I really think it is. It's not what I see in the Snoop videos. It's not all that. And it's not, all this pop glamour Hollywood stuff.
Welcome to the Go Fish Village podcast. As a Chinese proverb says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. At Go Fish, our goal is to teach individuals just like you how to build wealth through real estate.
I admire people like Harry Belafonte, people like Paul Robeson. These are brothers who did plays. They went around the country doing speeches. They would do movies and they would record albums. And they would take the time for each thing. Frank Sinatra, another person, he would go out to Hollywood, do a movie, go to Chicago and record an album, go to New York and do a play, or excuse me, not a play, go to New York and do a concert, So when I would meet people in the cast of The Wire, they did a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
They were musicians, they were writers, they were poets. Maybe some of them had ill culinary skills, but acting wasn't their only thing. And they always encouraged me to do more than just act.
What was the guy that paid? Was it Omar on The Wire? Or Mike? That dude was a backup dancer for Crystal Waters, who went to Howard, like the house music woman. She like considered the godmother of house music. But you're right. Now that you say all this stuff, I'm looking at all these characters, Snoop, all these cats was, you're right. Like, and it's funny because usually you see rappers trying to act, you know what I'm saying? And now you got, actors showing off these other skills, man. But that's dope. So you get to LA. What was it like when you got there, man? Because I want to get back to the Wire later, but what was it like when you got to LA, man? I know you had a idea in your head, but what was it like when you got there?
It was culture shock. I mean, I was living with a good friend of mine who I grew up with. He lived in Venice. I was sleeping on his couch until I got on my feet and found my own place. So I'm living in Venice Beach, and that was really cool. So before I moved out here, I spent 2 weeks out here because I had never been here before. And I was talking about it with my parents, and my mother encouraged me, hey, just go out there just for 2 weeks just to see if you like it. And then you can make your mind up. And it was around the time of the Grammys when I came out here. So like around this time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was staying with some folks from Howard. I was here for 2 weeks. I was sleeping on different couches, and it was just a lot of fun. It was completely different than Philly. Philly can really get on your back and really get you depressed and get you angry and get you feeling lots of pain. It's a very dark city, So when I came out here just for the visit, it was amazing. Just the weather alone.
The weather. Yeah, the women, bro. That's what it is. I already know, man. I done heard many stories, but anyway, yeah. So you in LA sleeping on couches. Why put yourself through that?
Put myself through what?
The couches, you know what I'm saying? Just, why go through that grind? Because it had to be a grind.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about, because 2003, I was on couches too. But I think it's, when you look back, you like, man, I can't believe I did that. Like, I remember when I bought my first building. I could barely afford it. So I had tenants in it. And the first 6 months I lived on the air mattress, and I didn't have a kitchen. I didn't have a kitchen. I just had a toilet and I could wash my face the first 6 months. And I look back like, damn, I can't believe I did that. But it was worth it, obviously. Because it was like I was building somewhere. So when I say, like, why go through that grind? Like me, I had purpose. Like, I knew that it was temporary. You know what I'm saying? But for you, like, why did you put yourself through, like, because you got to be humble to be like, hey, can I sleep on your couch? Can I live here? Boom, 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 boom.
Well,
I went to Howard.
When I was out here just to visit, I was calling people ahead of time. Hey, I'm coming out to LA. For the next 2 weeks, hey, would you mind, can you host me for a night or two?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. There was one alum who was going away for the weekend, and they just tossed me the keys, said, hey, you can house sit at my spot.
Yeah. For
the weekend, let me drive the car. And it was, wow, so I got a nice little taste of what it's like to live here,
Right.
I got keys to an apartment, keys to a whip. I'm driving around, boom, boom, boom. But to answer your question, I mean, I put myself through it because I was playing the long game. I always play the long game. I don't go for the short victory.
Mm-hmm.
I see things, from the full scope. And so I said, hey, to get anywhere, you got to start small. You got to start with a humble beginning. I wanted a humble beginning, So, so when I move out here, I mean, it's culture shock. I'm coming from Philly. Everything is boom. Let's get to it, Let's get to it. Let's not waste time. Let's go home. And out here, it's like, hey, man, relax, smile, have a good time. Let's tell some stories. Let's get to know each other, man. We'll get to the business, all this. And it took a little minute to kind of get used to that, to where I would absolutely, you're coming from Philly and, say you got to take care of business, say you have to go to the DMV. And you got to take care of business, man. You got to get right with these people. You got to tell them what you have. You got to tell them what you need, Out here, the folks is like, whoa, man, stop yelling. I'm talking to them just like this. It's like, who's yelling? It's all that type of stuff. And those little minute interactions can take place at a supermarket when you're so used to things being boom, 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 that they're just like, whoa, man, you got to relax, man. You got to chill out. That's not how we do things here. So that was part of it. That was part of the culture shock. Just get the first gig you can get. That's what they told us right as we were about to graduate from Howard. They had different artists come back and speak to the graduating class, to the seniors. Different folks that are out there graduated from Howard, maybe in the 70s or the 80s, early 90s, and they're out here and they're working artists. And they would all tell us the same thing. When you graduate, just get a job. It don't matter what it is. It could be at the bookstore. It could be at the grocery store. It could be at some office, some temp gig. Just get a job, and then everything is going to flow from that.
All them things started to replay in your mind, like shoo, 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 shoo. You was like, damn, you're right. So was it like
start over?
Was it like get a gig, or was it like get a gig that's flexible so I could go try out for this part, go do that,
That's the thing. It was like a puzzle piece because I was thinking, where do I want to live? Do I get my apartment first or do I get my job? You know, if I say I'm going to get my job first, then I'm going to think, well, then let me get my apartment close to the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, no. Find where you want to live first. You know, find
Gotcha.
a nice, cool part of the city that you can feel comfortable laying your head at night, and then operate from there. So that's the kind of the trial and error that I had to go through, you know, and I found a nice little cozy neighborhood that's mid-city. It's not too far from anywhere, you know, it's right in the center of the city. I can get anywhere very quickly, you know. So it was just building blocks, you know, really taking the time. And like I said, I'm going for the long term because I know what I'm capable of and I know what I'm worth. So I wasn't in a rush. I'm
Man,
not.
how you get this confidence, bro?
It's just I just believe in myself, man.
But it gotta
You
come on.
know,
I mean, it gotta. Was it? Were you born like that? Was it developed? You know what I'm saying? Where does it come
it
from,
was
man? Did you fall on your face so many times that you you realize, man? You know what?
It was all that. It was all that. I mean, I could tell you a story about how I wanted to do acting in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, my family was involved in the church when I was coming up, you know, up until the point where my brother and I got more involved in soccer and that all of our matches were on Sundays. So we had to take a little less time. But coming up, we were involved in a Methodist church in Trevose, Pennsylvania, which is in Northeast Philly. And my mother she was hired to do this church play where she was the lead character portraying the church, portraying our reverend. We had a woman reverend named Reverend Tatum. She was very fiery, very bombastic. She built this huge congregation. Everyone knew about Reverend Tatum. She lit it up every Sunday, right? And her and my mother look very similar. You know, they have similar height, short, you know, figure. Just imagine someone like Lauryn Hill with like a church robe on, you know, that type of fiery vibe, petite. And so my mother's in this church play playing Reverend Tatum. And at home, she's practicing for weeks. She's a school teacher. She comes home from school. She comes home from teaching. She gets us fed. And then she'd be upstairs in her room practicing her lines and going over the script and everything. And I would be hearing it. I'd be in my room hearing my mom like going in, you know? And then I would leave my room and kind of go to her doorstep and she's just going in, you know? If she messed up, she would go back and do it again, you know? Boom, 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 boom. Every night for maybe about 2-3 weeks, right? And I could see each night it getting better and better and better and better, you know? When it comes to showtime, she lit it up. I'm in the church pew watching everyone on their feet clapping like, yo, she got it. Like, yo, that's Reverend Tatum. That's Reverend Tatum. Everyone's up on their feet laughing, clapping, just dying laughing, you know? Watching the stuff that I watched my mom do for the past 3 weeks, you know? And I'm just sitting there watching people look at my mom and I'm just like, you know, I want that. I want that. Like, I can do that.
You mentioned Chadwick. I mean, he was at Howard when we was there, right?
He was.
Yeah. So what was it like being in Hollywood, working actor, working artist, I should say, since you do acting and music? And then you see somebody who's a senior when he was a fresh, like you kind of see him had this big breakthrough. I mean, he was already doing his thing, but what was it like to see somebody from Howard who's black, who took the same exact route as you did while at Howard, bring together our culture like that, and then be the center of it?
Just let me know that I could do it too. Let me know that, I mean, this brother came from the same school I did. I've shared conversations with him. We've collaborated together. It almost gave me the feeling like when I was watching my mother in church, you know? It just gave me the confidence, you know? Now, do I want the career Chad had? Chad did that. There's lots of sacrifices and lots of prices to pay with certain degrees of fame, you know? And I love Chad, and I always cherish all the conversations that we had and the encouragement that he gave me. but I just know that there's a price to fame. You know, I think of like Will Smith, you know, take a lot of young actors. People want to be like Will Smith. Oh, I would love to have a career like Will Smith, but that comes with a price, you know. Last summer, his entire business was in the street.
Yeah, my wife had an entanglement. There's some problems.
Yeah, it's crazy. So when I saw Chad ascend to his levels, it was just like when I saw Frenchie get on American Idol when we were still seniors. It was like, that's Frenchie.
Right.
You know, that's our school.
Yeah.
You know, she was on Ira Aldridge. We were in the same play. You know, if she can do it, I can do it too.
She used to be singing in the yard, bro. Just singing.
She's the reason why I decided on Howard. I was down we came down there for, you know, we were on a college trip. Campus was empty. I think it might have been a weekend, might have been like a Saturday or something. The campus was kind of empty, but the theater kids was in there. Theater kids were in there rehearsing something, and Frenchie was on the fine art steps. And I asked her a question. I said, you know, are you a student here? Blah, 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 you know. You know, I said, what are you guys rehearsing for? And she said, we're rehearsing. I forget what show they're rehearsing for, but just the audacity in which she spoke, the conviction, the conviction in her voice, it just got right in me. And I said, this is where I'm going.
Wow. Just off that.
Yeah.
Yo, that's a dope story, man.
Yeah. It's, yeah. So shout out to Frenchie.
What about you mentioned that you had collaborated with Chadwick, man. I know you got some dope Chadwick stories or something that sticks out that you could share.
Man, where do I begin? Well, so it was our freshman year and Chad was a senior. And he was doing a play in the School of Fine Arts. It was called Rhyme Deferred. And it wasn't on Ira Aldridge Theater. It was in the tiny black box theater that was in the Fine Arts building. And it was this hip hop theater story about two MCs that grew up together and came to neighbor.
Bro, before you keep going, man, I've never been in the Fine Arts Theater. I've always thought that like I couldn't go in there. It was like y'all all had it like it was like it was like y'all was like on the stairs, like just standing there, like I was just like, okay, I don't belong in here. Like it was just like a vibe I got, like you can't come in here. You know, I've been in every building. You know, we pals. I've been in every building. I've never felt like I could go in there. But anyway, man.
Man, the Fine Arts building is open all night, man.
Dude, I never felt like I'd go in there. Man. Like y'all be on the stoop, like doing weird stuff that y'all do. That's the thing about Fine Arts. Fine Arts probably the most diverse school we got in Howard, because there's so many different people that are like under this common, I got this common bond, but y'all all like on some other stuff, man. Like I would see the weirdest stuff on the stairs. I'm like, I'm not going in there.
Yeah, artists are very eccentric, you know.
Yeah.
We all have our little idiosyncrasies and little things that make us strange, you know. And then when we all come together and we find these common ties of, oh wow, you're strange too. Wow, you're a bit of a weirdo too. Okay, cool. You know, we're gonna connect, you know. And that's kind of partly where I found my tribe at Howard, you know, the guys that were the people that like the choir kids, the musical theater kids, the Shakespeare kids.
Crazy.
Now, all these people,
creators.
The creators, all these people, we're still regular people though.
I know.
We like the parties. We like sports. You know what I mean? We do all the regular things. we do all the regular things, but we do different things too, you know?
Yeah. I mean, y'all wasn't afraid to
be ourselves.
To be yourselves, basically. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, sorry to interrupt. I just had to say that. But I know you were talking about the Chadwick story about the thing in
Yeah,
the
so
black box theater, which I never even heard of. That's why I mentioned that. I was like, what is that? I've only heard of Ira Aldridge.
yeah, well, there's also it's called the ETS, the Experimental Theater Space. And that's pretty much where we had a lot of our classes. You know, if you're a freshman and you take a movement class, it's going to be in ETS. It's going to be in the black box theater. And this maybe, I don't know how many square feet. It's a room. It's a black box room. The floor is painted black. The ceiling's painted black. The walls are painted black. There's 2 rows of theater chairs that are red, you know, like in the movie theater. And 3 walls of the theater are you know, blocked out with the theater seating. And back here, you know, you got the VOMs here. That's where you grab the different props and the stage work and everything. So it's a tiny little theater where you can get everything in, but it's more intimate than Ira. It's more intimate than Ira Aldridge because you're right up there with the actors. The light is right there. You know, they're not elevated like they are at Ira.
How many
and that's
people?
where held maybe 50 people.
Man, that seems kind of intimidating.
Can be. But that's where you really get your skills up, you know? And when I came as a freshman, the only time I saw Chad perform was in the black box. And the first time I saw him perform was in Hieroglyphic Graffiti. And it was the most incredible thing I had ever seen. You know, I had seen Jelly's Last Jam. I had seen Rent. I had seen different musicals and stuff, but I had never seen a hip hop musical to where they're rapping and they're telling the story through the lyrics and through the bars. And it's very dynamic. And it's like a blend up between Shakespeare and just modern day hip hop. And Chad was one of the characters in it. And Chad was this, like I said, there's 2 characters. There's Cain and Abel. They grew up together as rappers. One of them gets more into the commercial side of the culture, while the other one keeps it true, right? And so they're quarreling throughout their career. The guy is getting more and more commercial, and so the dude doubles down, getting more and more underground. And Chad played this like a spiritual advisor to the 2 of them, trying to get them to unify while they were still at each other's necks, you know? And so, like, yeah, they bodied the performance. I never seen anything like this. It was on a Saturday night. The place was packed, had the incense burning in there. It was just a vibe going on in there. Anyone who was there knows that they saw something very, very, very special. And there was a show like this, which 15, 20 years later, you see shows like Hamilton. You see hip hop theater telling the story, you know, telling early political stories now of how, you know, different forms of the Constitution get drafted, different laws get made, you know. But the seed was planted at Howard University with this play called Hieroglyphic Graffiti, written by Camilla Forbes, who's a Chicago native, a Howard University graduate. And she went on to develop the Hip Hop Theater Festival along with some other people, blah, 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 blah. So we saw the show on a Saturday night. Monday, that was my first time where I was like, okay, I got to go and just dap this brother up. You know, I was in the Black Box Theater waiting for my class to start. Chad's class had just finished and he was kind of lingering around, right? So I'm one of the few students that were there waiting for my class to start. And Chad was about to leave. And I said, hey, man, I was a little kid. I was just like, hey, man, I really liked your performance the other night. I thought that was incredible. And then, you know, he shook my hand and was like, thank you. And that was like our first time really meeting, you know? And then just from that point, I just kind of had my eye on him. Like the entire time I would just watch like how he moved, because he was so under the radar up until that point that I saw him on stage. You know, I knew all the other students because everyone was very funny and everyone was singing through the hallways and telling jokes. Whereas Chad would just mind his business, keep his head down and just keep it moving, you know? And then when I saw the performance, I was like, whoa, who is this guy? Right? So ever since then, I just kind of had my eye on him and would just kind of watch how he moved. So boom, that was first semester. The second semester, he produces a play that he wrote and directed. This one is called Hieroglyphic Graffiti. And it was very deep themes, but it was given to you in a way that was like you're just watching television with the characters and the way that everyone is acting. It's like,
what was that about?
From what I remember, like this was a minute ago, man. It was about there's these different crimes that are going on in the city. You know, say like maybe a business gets vandalized, or maybe someone gets murdered, or someone's bike gets stolen, someone's car gets broken into. But all these incidents, they come to find out that there's this group of graffiti artists who are like putting the writing on the wall of what's about to happen, of what's about to go down, you know? So these guys will go bomb, graffiti tag different trains or walls to let you know, hey, it's like the rites of spring, you know, in Hamlet, you know, the rites of spring, something's about to happen, you know, keep your spidey senses tingling. And Chad just wrote and directed it. But there were other actors in it who weren't even students. There's this one brother, W. Ellington Felton. He was a DC musician who had a relationship with Chad. Chad brought him in to do the play, and the brother Ashley. Ashley, forgive me, brother, I forget the last name, but Ashley bodied it. Everyone remembers Ashley's character playing Teasley. He would be like the father from Friday. He was almost like that, you know. But like I said, these very deep themes that were given to you in a way that was very easily digestible and easily relatable, right? Mm-hmm. And again, all this is taking place in this black box theater.
Wow, the legendary black box theater, man.
So they're keeping it real humble. And that had another indelible impression on me, to where just to keep it, stay low, stay creative, stay humble.
Keep firing, though.
Keep firing.
That's that Philly.
Everything else is going to get added to it.
Man.
So upon graduation, so we're going to fast forward 4 years now. Upon graduation, so I graduate in 4 years. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I major in acting. What do we do now, right? I go back home. I'm living with my parents. And my parents are like, you know, what's going on? What's the plan? You know, again, I get myself a job. I was working at Tower Records, downtown Philly.
Tower Records.
Yeah, working at Tower Records, working at the record store, man. You know, just to give me someplace I have to be every day, give me a paycheck, and I'm gonna figure everything else out. Now, of course, my parents aren't happy with that
at all.
My parents are looking at me like, you know, we just paid, you know, X amount of thousands of dollars in your education, and you come back home and you're working at Tower Records, you know? So boom, I'm working at Tower Records, you know, and I remember one night my car got towed. It got impounded. It didn't get towed, it got impounded. And if your car ever gets impounded in Philly, man, God bless and good luck.
Damn.
So it took about 3-4 days for me to get my things straight so I can get my car out of impound. I get my car out of impound, right? Within an hour, I get a call from my friend. Hey, are you free to come down to DC to do a reading of Chad's play, Deep Azure, for the Hip Hop Theater Festival? And I said, yeah, you know, when? When does it start? He said, you would have to be down here tomorrow.
Damn, man, with no whip?
No, I just got the whip out of impound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Look at
so
God.
I got the whip out of impound. I'm back on the road and I get a call.
At this point, is Chad popular?
Chad's still living in DC. He was doing plays and maybe he had done a soap opera, but now he wasn't the Chadwick Boseman yet, not at all.
Yeah.
He was in DC writing and producing his plays. And so I get down to DC the next day. I told Tower Records, hey, this isn't going to work out. And so I go down to DC, and then I'm working with Chad for like 10 days on his play that he's developing. He's writing it, and now this play here, it was based on the incident of the brother Prince Hall, Howard student, who was murdered by Virginia police, mistaken identity, unarmed, who Chad had a relationship with. Chad knew the brother. And so he wrote this play about that whole situation and how that brother's death affected all his friends around him. So those characters, maybe about 4 different characters in it, right?
I remember that. That was a big deal, man. And can imagine if that happened today, man. Especially given the spotlight that's on Howard. I mean, that's crazy. But yeah.
So I'm back down in DC. I'm back down at, the Fine Art Steps. And I'm with, some brothers who had already graduated. Chad was there, and he brought in the brother Glenn. Glenn had already graduated 2 years prior. And my homegirl Roxy was in the cast. So it was us four. And it was my first time really being able to like sit at the table with a script and be with, to just soak up Chad's game. You know what I mean?
So Chad, he basically, he sought you out, right?
They needed somebody because I believe someone dropped out, and Chad was talking with Glenn and Roxy and said, "Hey, we need somebody." And Roxy is my homegirl. She mentioned me, and he said, "All right, yeah, bring him down. Let's see what he can bring."
So man, so you just quit the gig like that. I mean, that takes a lot of belief even still. I mean, I'm not saying that Tower Records was like this awesome, amazing opportunity, but Chad was a relative unknown at that point. But I guess that shows how much you love acting and appreciated that and looked at that opportunity.
Yeah, no risk, no reward. What's more important? Is it more important to keep this job at a record store downtown, or to go take an opportunity to work with someone who has inspired you?
That's acting. Now you fast forward to now. I mean, you got an album out. Why? What was the inspiration for that album?
It's an interesting question, because it's like you don't really know while you're doing it, but now that I can look back at it, I can pinpoint exactly what the inspiration was. This album that we did, this Milwaukee album, we wrote and recorded this in 2018. Me and my brother had solo. We would meet up once a week. We would meet up either on Wednesdays or Thursdays. We would meet up, like I said, it took about 6 months to get everything written and recorded. And really, a lot of the inspiration was Black Panther, because we got up right around the time that the movie came out. It was 2021 now, it was just 3 years ago. And I remember one of the earlier sessions that me and Has had, we were saying, hey, did you get your tickets for Panther yet? Did you get your tickets? Boom, boom, boom. And now, like, I didn't even realize this until like a few months ago, where I'm thinking, man, where I'm listening back to the music and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is really inspired by a lot of just the imagery, of Black identity, Black ownership, Black triumph, the adventure, the different rituals and ceremonies to help establish your identity. And so when you hear songs like Birthrights, Rainfall, Clarity Now, this is stuff that was inspired by the movie, really. And like I said, I didn't even realize this until a couple months ago. But the inspiration, I mean, me and my brother Has Solo, we've been friends for a long time, We've been friends for 10 plus years now. And I explained how we met on the song called Inspired Ideas. It's on the album. I tell the story of how we met and how we started working together. And there was a lot of ups and downs, You're dealing with two artists, plus life can get in the way, Life can get in the way of your creative pursuits, like in an instant. So you have to stay the course. We've started and stopped on many projects, but we were finally able in 2018, we were finally both in a good place where we said, hey, we need to meet once a week. We can't do this. I don't want you to email me a song and I'll email it back to you and then we can get back up, whatever. No, we need to have something consistent where we write it down. It's in the calendar. And when we come in, we write down our progress. Everything was written. And then we began to manifest all of our ideas. This was the plan. We wanted to do vinyl. We wanted to make a physical copy of it. We didn't want it to just, we could have put this album out in 2018. We could have threw it up on the streams in 2018 when it was done. But but we knew it was more valuable than that. And it was our plan to establish our own musical brands further. He wanted me to keep doing my own projects, do Green Juice, do Wow, do Busy Being Lazy, or he did his own beat tapes, as opposed to just coming out and folks are like, who are these dudes, So we took the time to develop our own musical brands before releasing our collaboration.
So how's it been received?
Man, this is just the beginning, Josh. And so far it's been amazing, It was a buildup to dropping Milwaukee because when the quarantine hit, that's when I finally had the time to tie up the loose ends on the album. I had the album in my hard drive for months and months and months and months and months. It just needed to be mixed. It needed to have little odds and ends. It's like you shoot a movie, right? Mm-hmm. You got all the scenes, you got all the locations, you got everything in the can. But now you got to edit it. Now you have to actually make the movie, So that's what happened. That's what happened with the music. We had all the verses recorded, all the hooks were recorded, all the beats were made, but now we have to make it into an album. And a lot of times when I would come home from work, I didn't feel like working on the album, A lot of times when I would wake up after working all night, I didn't feel like working on the album, But boom, once that quarantine hit, and I had nothing but time. That's when I would wake up in the morning, I would sit at my desk and then just start to piece it together, man. Started to put all the loose pieces together. And then you got to send it out. Then you got to go through the whole process of mixing and mastering. And you send it to the engineer and he's sending it back to you. Is this okay? Is that okay? And boom, it's a process. It takes time. And so during that time, Has put out a beat tape, put out a couple beat tapes. I put out Busy Being Lazy, which had After COVID on it. After COVID did well. After COVID got placed on Sway in the Morning, they were talking about it on that. And then, okay, boom, now we're getting ready for this Milwaukee thing, okay? So then I put in the vinyl order, and then that's a process too. Everything is a process, the vinyl order goes out, and then they send you a test press. They send you 5 copies of a test press. Listen to this, make sure everything is okay. If there's anything that we need to tweak, let us know, So even to get the test presses takes maybe about 8 weeks,
Costs money too, right?
It costs money. That's what the stimulus check went to, I got that stimulus check and I got the Birdman hands like, what am I about to do with this,
Right.
I could go on vacation or I could flip it somehow, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I'm putting this right into the craft, you know what I mean? So boom, ordered the vinyl. And I'm waiting on the vinyl now. As soon as the vinyl arrives, we're going to release the album. That was the plan, And I remember
so you got love from DJ Premier on that joint, right?
You got love from Primo, man. You got love from Primo on Shape 45. He played it on his Live at the Headquarters.
Man, how that feel? I mean, he one of the most respected DJs, not just right now, but of all time.
Yeah, it's a dream come true, man. And we didn't have to grease any palms. There was no payola. It was just through the relationships that we had built with Shade 45. It was just me submitting my music to them. Yeah. After COVID went in, and then I would just send them more stuff, And I mean, DJs, they just share music with each other.
It's good. It's literally good music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just say it's good music. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. That was the intention. The brother Has Solo, he's from Milwaukee, cool, easygoing Midwest brother who loves hip hop, not even loves hip hop, just has an appreciation for music, period. And the most important thing is that he's just a good person. You want to make music you want to collaborate anything, even if you get involved with business of any kind. You want to be involved with good people, right? Good spirits, humble, grounded individuals. That's the most important part. And he's a brother just like that. And he's got an appreciation for music that's very similar to mine. He comes from a musical background. Lots of music was in his house when he grew up. And he's also a brother that likes to laugh and just have a good time and not take everything so seriously, which I really need that in my life, because I can walk around with a heavy head at times, And so we will get up, and it was would be fun, you know? I mean, of course we're working. I would go pick them up and we would go to a record store and we would just go, you know, digging through the crates. And when we started hanging out, I had to start my record collection over. I had a collection at Howard. I came to Howard with records, you know what I mean? But when I moved to LA, I didn't come with all my records out here. You know, that wouldn't be very smart, you know? I gave all the records away, you know what I mean, to the people I was working with in Philly. And then, so when me and Haz started working on the album, I kind of started recollecting again. And so when we would go out digging, I'm just getting basic stuff. You know, I'm getting Thriller. I'm getting, you know, Kind of Blue. I'm getting, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire anthologies. And he's looking at, you know, a Japanese orchestra. He's looking at some Swedish prog rock band, and he's going to the Dollar Bin and all this stuff, just different stuff, you know? And we would take all these records and go back to his apartment and listen to them and just hang out. If you hear something cool, stop the record and let's see what we can do with it. And that's how it started. You know, not every session was super productive. Some sessions were super dry. Some sessions, you know, maybe I didn't write a single line, but you just got to put the time in. But I would say we turned a corner during our process. It may have been maybe 2.5 to 3 months worth of, you know, meeting up where we invited a close friend of ours to come into the studio with us. It was the first time we had anyone join us for a session. I had been telling a friend of mine, like, yeah, you know, we've been working, and he asked if he could come through, you know? And we're like, yeah, sure, man, sure. So we bring him through and we kind of rose to the occasion, you know? And I think it's really important to always give yourself an audience, even if it's an audience of one, to get that feedback. And you're going to take yourself to another level because you want that person to enjoy it. You know, I know when we studied theater, it's not theater unless there's an audience. You know, you can rehearse all day long, but it's not a show unless there's someone in a seat watching it. Right? So once we had someone watching us, I remember that session, we had 3 songs down that day. The song that he had playing when I showed up, he had the beat for 100 Thou when I showed up playing. That's not a beat that I would normally rhyme on. He challenged me to write to it. That was part of the process too. You know, he would always have a beat playing when I showed up, always challenged me to write something immediately, you know. And then we will get into the stuff that, you know, get into the homework, you know, well, this is what I came with today, you know, do a little bit of that. And then we would take time to create new stuff, you know, to start from scratch. So that was our process, you know. He would challenge me to write something new.
And I mean, when you say write something new, are you writing about a particular topic, or is it just like, does the album have to be about something in particular? Like, I'm trying to get across this point on the album, or is it more so like, I feel like this beat makes me feel this way, so I'm gonna just write this?
It's a little bit of all that. You know, it's like you're just throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks, right?
Yeah.
And then you get enough noodles that stick. You say you got one song, like the homie came through and we did 3 songs that day. Right. We really like these 3 songs. Now let's get some other songs that will sound good with these 3 songs.
Right.
That's something I got from Prince when he was on Arsenio. He had broke that down for Arsenio. You know, that's when you start to build a project. That's when you start to build an album. You're just making songs. But once you find one of them that you really, really like, right, then you start building around that. That's what I did with After COVID. After COVID, I was like, oh, okay, I really like it. Then I started to build around that. So once we had songs like 100 Thou and Again,
yeah, that joint was hot. The After COVID joint was funny too. Was that supposed to be funny? I mean, because it was like a lot of subtleties in there, you know.
Yeah,
I wish I could quote some of the lines. I should have probably wrote them down, but it was funny. How did Chadwick's passing, how did that affect you? Just from a, you know, Like what did you take away from that? Him, passing so young and the connection that you all had.
I mean, when I think of Chad, I'm strong. When I think of my friends who know Chad and that were very close to Chad, I get very sad. Chad, I mean, he's an ancestor now. And his work was done. Of course we want him to be here. The good die young, man. The Lord works in a mysterious way. He was sent as a prophet. He was sent as an example. He was sent to wake us up. He was sent here to elevate to elevate our mentality, to elevate our spirit. You go back and you watch his Howard graduation speech, and it was different than any other graduation keynote speech I've heard ever. He's not telling you to go get a job. He's telling you to find purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's the job without purpose? And purpose, Nia, that's something that we honor every year in Kwanzaa, right?
For a day.
But no, it can't just be for a day. Purpose is 365 days, 24 hours, 24 hours a day.
Right.
Purpose.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything if it doesn't have a purpose.
Yeah.
So it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. My mom called me, it was a Friday night. She said, "Did you hear about Chad?" I was like, what happened? She's like, "Oh, well, Chad died." And I was just a long pause, man. Long pause. And she was like, "All right, well, I'll let you be." Hung up the phone and,
What, when you get the opportunity to be on The Wire, what was it like to be on that show and to have the nice check to back it up, because so much of what acting is it's about paying dues and struggling, and even if you love it, what I'm saying, it's about earning your stripes, I guess is a better way to say it. But what was it like to be like, man, I'm on HBO, like this is a channel that I've snuck and watched as a kid. You know what I'm saying? This is a channel that's a household name. Now I'm on here with talented actors that are household names. This is the most popular show, and it's a real show. It's not like some you know what I mean? It's a show that every Black person can identify with, even if you wasn't raised in the hood. Somebody at your church that was like some of them characters. Somebody in your school that was like that. Like you really get to authentically represent the culture, and even the thugs or whatever that was on the show. Like these are guys that are running businesses. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't like you sold us out. It's like, man, I'm on The Wire. I'm getting paid. I was a theater major at Howard. Like, man, like I knew I made the right choice, man. Like, what did that feel like, man, to get that call? Like, yo, we want to cast you for the role of Fletcher.
Well, I mean, I can walk you through it.
Walk me through it, B, because I remember I was like, damn, this nigga's on. You know what I'm saying?
So check it out. It was around this time.
I was making up hella shit. Yeah, that's my man. Yeah, man. B. Oh, I got him. I call him right now. I call him right now. I call him right now.
You ain't the only one, man. So it was around this time of year. I'm taking it back to 2007. And I had just gotten the job at a golf course in Philly, West Philly. I was about to
say Tower Records. I was back at Tower Records.
So I got this gig at this golf course, waiting tables at the lounge. And I'm still training, right? I get the call for an audition in Baltimore. And I knew this time I wasn't about to just dead this job. I had to let them know, like, hey, there's an opportunity that I have. It's tomorrow. I know that I'm on the schedule for tomorrow, but I need to go down to Baltimore, y'all. I put all the cards on the table, And one of the supervisors said, because they knew I was an actor from jump, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the supervisors, it was this woman, she said, okay, you have an audition in Baltimore. She's like, is it The Wire? And I said, yeah, it is actually. She's like, oh my God, you better get it. And then she was like, yeah, take your time. Go, it's fine. Like, we'll see you Saturday. I was like, thank you very much, you know?
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Thank you very much. I will see you Saturday, you know? So, boom, the next day I took the Greyhound bus down to Baltimore.
Damn,
and the audition
Greyhound, boy. That Greyhound, boy.
Yeah, I took that Greyhound.
Yeah.
And the audition material was only 2 lines. It was the extent of my dialogue that was in episode 501. And I mean, I was just prepared. You know, I wasn't nervous. It was 2 lines, which can be a gift and a curse. People say, oh, you got 2 lines. That's easy, man. But actually, no. You know, a lot of people can take those 2 lines and kind of not really do anything with it. You really got to hit them with some subtext.
Right.
You know, to make them be like, okay, yeah, I can see where this can go. I can see what type of personality he's going to bring to this, what type of attitude he's going to bring to it. Right. So I walk into the room. Now, I walk into the room and I'm completely relaxed, man, because I'm just, like I said, I was prepared. I was confident. I wasn't trying to do any mind games when I'm in the waiting room. You in waiting room with actors, everyone's looking at each other. Everyone's trying to psych each other out. Everyone's trying to be the most confident man. I'm just in my seat, just looking up at the ceiling, taking deep breaths. Maybe looking like a weirdo, you know? Maybe looking like a weirdo, but I'm just, in my head, I'm just thinking, okay, I'm a reporter. I'm just imagining myself at work, at my desk, writing a story. I'm imagining myself going to the water cooler. I'm imagining myself going to lunch, and I'm one of the only brothers at the desk, you know? So I had to create the whole world in my head before I walked in there, right? So when I walk in there, in my mentality, I'm already a newspaper man at work. I'm not Brandon in the audition room. I'm the newspaper man at my desk. So I walked in there with that, and I have a seat, and they tell me, hey, Pat Moran was casting. She said, this is who you're going to be doing lines with. This is Clark. This is the guy he's playing Gus. They got his headshot up there. And it was just Pat and her assistant. She said, all right, go. Boom, we do it. She said, good. All right, one more time. Boom. Do it again. All right, cool. She said, thank you. When they say thank you, I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. Because I hate when I hear thanks for coming in. It was nice to see you.
Mm.
All I want to hear is thank you. So when I got that thank you, it's a confirmation, okay, that's a good sign. Boom, the audition, the callback was a week later. Now I'm coming in dressed as character. First time I was just in regular clothes. Now I'm coming in dressed, right? Coming in more confident this time.
Did they tell you to dress up?
No, that was me. My choice. I'm dressing like how I think this brother would look in the newsroom. You know what I mean? I'm coming back and I'm more confident. I'm digging deeper. I'm breathing deeper into when I'm in the waiting room, you know? I may even be looking more like a weirdo now, right? So I walk in the room with the same mentality as before. It's not Brandon in the audition room. No, it's Fletcher at work. I walk into the audition room. It was Chris. He's a writer. There's Pat. There's David. He's going to be directing the episode. And there's Burns, which was David Simon's partner. Ed Burns, who was an ex-cop. And Pat's like, okay, let's go. All right. This time we only did it once. I did it the same way. It was just, I just felt better. And I knew I got it because I'm looking at everybody and Pat said, thank you. And I look at Burns and Burns gives me the Arsenio Hall joint. Burns is like this. Burns goes like that. And I was like, it's a wrap, man. That's That's how I said it in my head.
Damn.
I was like, it's a wrap, man. I never gotten this at an audition. No one ever did this. They just say thank you and you get out of the room. But when you give me this, I was like, wow, that's something pretty special, man. And so I remember that night. Like it was yesterday, Josh, because it was a Friday. I took the bus back to Philly, and my father got a promotion at work. So we had dinner at Capitol Grill on Broad Street downtown to celebrate my dad's promotion. And we're celebrating my dad's promotion. But in my head, I'm thinking like, man, we're celebrating something else too. But I don't even want to share it. You know, I'm going to just keep it to myself. But I have a feeling, like I have a strong conviction that something's about to pop, you know? So we're over here toasting my dad. Yeah, congrats. But to me, it's like something else almost, you know? For me, it's like, we're toasting this victory of getting this new gig. That was a Friday night. Boom, Monday came and I got the call, man. I said, hey, they want you. That was a Monday. The next week, 10 days later, I'm down there doing the table read, man.
Damn. What was that like doing the table read, bro? That shit sound like it happened fast.
It happened so fast, man. It's happened so fast. It's like, it's intimidating. You get on set and you're across from people who are 5 years deep into their story.
Right.
You know? And I wasn't a fan of the show. I didn't watch it. I didn't have cable, didn't have HBO. I watched the first season. I borrowed it from the library because I was doing a play in Delaware, the Delaware Theater Company, where I was portraying a drug dealer from Baltimore. So I was like, let me do a little research and watch this show, you know? But up until that point, I wasn't a super fan. So, and it was intimidating, man. I have to say it was a little bit intimidating, you know?
Yeah, it's like, yo, when I said I wanted to be an actor, I didn't really mean it. You know what I'm saying? Then they end up calling you. You like, oh, shit. So, yeah. So, I mean, you end up doing what, like 9 episodes?
Or something like 9 out of 10 episodes. And it wasn't, not like I signed a contract. Everything was like, they knew I had never done television before. I had never done a commercial. I had only done industrials, which are like training videos for companies. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're starting off, that's a nice day of work. You get $500-$600 for a day of work. You know what I mean? So I had never done any real film, television acting, you know, and the producers knew that. So they were like, okay, we're just going to give him, you know, 1 episode at a time. Let's see how he does. You know, I wasn't written in the story of the second episode, but they liked what I did in the first episode. And then they called me again for the third. Like every time it was my agent would call me and said, hey, they want you back. They want you back. They want you back. Right. So the third episode was when my character had the opening quote. You know, The Wire always has that opening quote. That's kind of,
right. You taking me back.
Right.
Damn.
The Wire has that opening quote that
kind of tell you what it's going to be about.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the omen, or it's like
foreshadowing or something.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing. It's the prologue, you know. So they gave me that, and I said, okay, this looks promising. You know what I mean? And then after we did that day, after that third episode, that's when I got really comfortable, man. That's when I started to really kind of enjoy it. But it's weird, man, because up to that point, I didn't really know how much agency an actor has when he's on a show. Like I was so humble. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I didn't want to come in as the new guy and just mess everything up. Like, hey man, we're 5 years into this, man. Just play your part, be quiet, and everything's going to work out. Right. So I didn't know how much wiggle room I could really have, you know? So I kind of had to learn that as we went. And it comes down to everything from the wardrobe to how your hair and makeup. And now I know that now, you know, you can walk in there and it's your world. They cast you. They want you in the show. So if something don't fit right, you let them know, you know. But at this point, I was just like, yeah, this is what it wears. This is part of the story. This is how I'm supposed to look. Yeah.
So let's explain what your character is. You're more than a reporter. Why is your character significant?
Well, my character, Fletcher, was significant because I worked with, the brother worked with excuse me, working with Bubbles,
That name is hilarious, man.
Yeah, Bubbles, the informant, the heroin addict informant who's trying to get clean. And when I met him, I helped him get clean. And I kind of helped him get his redemption through his family and his friends. And I went on to write a story about him that was profiled in the Baltimore Sun that led him, he got his redemption. He's clean now. And not only is he clean now, but the whole city can read about it.
Yeah, what's dope about the Wire characters is that every character is is significant. You know what I mean? Because they all connected in some type of way. So it's not, some have bigger roles, but they all have a significant role in how things play out. So yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, they have a significant role in how things play out, and the theme of the 5th season was the media and how the media doesn't always tell the truth. And there's a character who was in the newsroom named Templeton, where he fabricates a fake story about he was fabricating fake stories like the entire season, maybe he met like some kid outside of a baseball game and but it was fake. And I represented a character who goes at it the real way. I really went to where the homeless live, and I sought people out, and I got their actual real reporting done. I brought it back to the city desk, and we did the story. But there's this other reporter over here who's fabricating lies, and he goes on to win a Pulitzer.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta. So that's something that's very relevant.
Real life.
Still to this day, real life. People fake it till they make it. And I think what's interesting about the character that I played was that in The Wire, every character is both good and bad. They're equal parts good and bad, Doesn't matter what they do. They got a good side and a bad side. But my character was straight up for the good.
It was supposed to be somebody else, man.
It wasn't.
That energy, bro. That's that energy, man. Energy it means so much. I didn't really realize that until I got older, but you got to surround yourself with that proper energy, man. I can't be around nobody that I feel like doesn't have my best interests. You ain't got to agree with me with everything, but at the end of the day, you need to have my best interests in mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I clash with my mom all the time, but I know she got my best interest. She just don't agree with some of my choices. You know what I'm saying? But when you just feel like a nigga just hating, it's like, yo, what the fuck, nigga? Bye. You know what I'm saying? Peace. Glad I don't owe you nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So yeah, I was getting equal parts love and hate, equal parts. And then that's when you really peep that, yeah, it's true what they say, man. Success changes the people that are around you. The people that are around you think that you're different now. I'm like, no, I'm the same person. You're the one who's different now. I'm not saying you, Josh. I'm just saying, it's like the people around me are the ones who are acting different.
Yeah, that's because they had this idea of, it was cool, like cheering you on when you was
on your come up.
When they felt like you was on the same level, or they felt like they were superior, or they, but when you make some progress, it's like they can't handle it. It's crabs in a barrel, man.
Man, I know about it, man. I know about it. And it's a shame, It's a shame that our people are that way. It's not just our people. I think it's just people, period, It's not just black folks.
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar, man, he got this line. He was like, how does it go? It was like, he was saying something like, I'm not going to fake humble just because you insecure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was like, damn, nigga, like, that's a dope ass line. Like, he meant that shit. I'm like,
yeah. I'm not turning down my light.
Yeah.
Because you don't have sunglasses.
Yeah. Welcome to the Go Fish Village podcast. As a Chinese proverb says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. At Go Fish, our goal is to teach individuals just like you how to build wealth through real estate. So, man, Howard, man, I mean, what was it like being at the Mecca, man? Did it live up to the bill? I mean, I know you had a great time.
Man,
Um,
yes, it did.
what did you learn about yourself in that
Well,
4-year period?
I learned, I went in there with the intention to be an actor, right? I'm studying how to be an actor. That's what I'm going to college for, to be an actor. But through my experiences, I learned that it's less about being an actor per se and more about being an artist. Because an actor is just going to say whatever the script says. But an artist has something to say, no matter what's on the script. You're gonna convey it through your subtext, through your personality. An artist has something to say. Everyone says, Howard is where you get all the entertainers from. I'm an artist. I'm not an entertainer. What I do is perceived as entertainment. Yeah, 100%. But I'm not just here to entertain you. A clown is an entertainer. He's going to juggle bowling pins and he's going to make animals out of balloons to entertain the kids at the party. That's entertainment, but an artist has something to say for a certain purpose and a certain reason to make people think. And that's what I learned at Howard through the relationships that I made with the professors and through observing my classmates. That is bigger than just being an actor. That's secondary, So you study the tapestry of art just through Black history. It's not just acting, it's dance, it's visual art, it's literature. It's all the fine arts and sciences. It's all connected. You talk to any successful artist and they have a wealth of knowledge that goes beyond their medium. A good filmmaker is going to have a wealth of knowledge about visual art, about fashion, because all these things are incorporated to make a picture, right? So yeah, that's what Howard taught me. And through the relationships that I made, one very poignant relationship was with Dr. Johnson, Dr. Cheryl Berman Johnson, who's no longer with us. So Ashe to Johnson, rest in peace. She took a liking to me because I'm not going to say I rubbed her the wrong way. She was a dance instructor, but everyone was like so intimidated by her. She had long locks that she would wear up in a head wrap, and she would just get with people, and she was just very fiery, But I was just like, I would look at her with a straight face, like, I'm not shook, Dr. Johnson. I like it. I like what you're saying, I'm not scared of the fire,
Right.
And I remember she found out that I rap maybe sophomore year, maybe one of the other dancers was like, Dr. Johnson, did you know Brandon rap? Blah, 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 blah. And she looked at me and she said, oh, well, that explains it, And then she took a liking to me from there. And she saw me growing my hair and growing my locks. And she called me into her office one day and she's like, you growing your locks? I was like, yeah, something like that. And she gave me this little short story. It was like a parable, like a myth. And it was about these tribesmen that were growing their locks. One was of the house of Comb and one was of the house of Knot, Knot, Knot. Are you going to be the guy who combs his locks? Or are you going to be the guy who just lets his knots be knotty? She gave it to me like as an elder, like, pick which tribe.
Wow.
Pick which tribe, But she encouraged it. She said, if
was there a wrong answer in that?
No.
Okay.
There's no wrong answer. It's just your purpose, So I just knew I wasn't.
Which tribe was you in?
I mean, it's in the house of Knot. I was a Nazi, you know what I mean? I just let my joints go, man. This is what nature intended. I grew two different sets at Howard, but my second set was the one that I graduated with. That was the one that I ended up cutting because as an actor, I started to shave. I had the locks and I started to shave, and I did this play where I did like a clean shave and I still had locks, but I was like, all right, I'm done now. I'm done with the locks. This is getting weird. So I didn't want to be the brother with the Nazi locks, but you don't got no hair on your face. It was weird. So anyway, Dr. Johnson was very poignant in my development as an artist. And she was the one who recommended that I travel to Tanzania, East Africa on this study abroad program that was through Brown University. It was a consortium of Ivy League and HBCUs where they picked one student from all these 16 universities, and they sent us to different locations throughout the continent in groups of 3. So there was, it was 18 students, and there were 6 groups throughout the continent. There were some folks that were in Senegal, some people were in Ghana, South Africa, Congo, and my group was in Tanzania. I was in with 2 other girls who were theater majors. And so our assignment was we went out there and we were involved in this village, and we were working with the townspeople in creating work for like a community theater festival in this village. And, and that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, so I come back to Howard after spending 2 months in Tanzania in the bush, getting hot water every morning from the parking lot.
That had to change your perspective when you got back.
Yeah, so I come back and we're doing the Campus PAL thing, which is absolutely crazy, which is mayhem every year.
Mayhem, bro. I know you came back like, what are y'all doing? Don't you know?
Man, I come back and it's just, nothing's funny anymore, man. It's interesting when you travel to Africa. Everything is funny when you're in the land. It's just jokes galore all day long in the sunshine. You just laughing, right? I come back to America, ain't nothing funny, man. What are we doing out here, y'all? We're wasting time trying to be the top man. We're putting each other down. We're competing against each other. We're throwing shade. We're crabs in a barrel, you know? And that stuff really annoyed me, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I became more insular. I became more closed in, more involved just in the theater department. You know what I mean? It kind of takes me a while to get out of my shell. Campus Pals was one of the places where I was able to get out of my shell, and the theater department was the place where I was able to get out of my shell. But beyond that, I didn't really socialize much. It's not that I was standoffish. I didn't think I was better than anybody. I'm just a quiet, shy dude. I don't really socialize like that unless you're in my inner circle, There's so many Howard students, so many alumni who I know by name and face recognition who I never said 5 words to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's real.
Yeah, but you know them and
you do this, you be like,
yeah. So many.
Give them a nod.
Yeah.
What up, Nick? Yeah. What advice would you give to the 18-year-old Brandon coming into Howard right now?
Wow, as a student, like student advice?
Yeah, coming in, man, they want to get the best out of it. They want to be themselves. They want to excel. They want to have a great experience at Howard. Like, what advice would you give yourself if if it was your son or your nephew going to Howard?
I would say try to work your schedule to where you don't have any classes before 11 a.m.
Man.
First and foremost.
Bro, that 8 a.m. I took 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. That shit felt like 5 in the morning. And it was only a 2-block walk. I mean, it was like, I felt like, it was like freshman orientation or something. I had like 9 a.m. Dude, it was, because we used to be up so damn late in Drew. So I don't even know what we was talking about. We didn't really have internet. We didn't have girls over. Man. I mean, we did, but we didn't have it to the point like.
We were on our phones and stuff.
Yeah, we wasn't like constantly, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I did have a phone in my room. I didn't have a cell phone, but we had internet, but it wasn't like, I just remember using my internet for like research projects. And then like I did fantasy like basketball or fantasy football, but I wasn't like, we used to be up in Drew talking about like just girls,
music,
styles,
girls,
sports, like all that,
borrowing movies,
it was so much fun. It was so crazy, bro. And that's what I loved about it. It was just I don't know. I had a great time, man. But yeah, advice, man.
Yeah, I would definitely say to get some later classes, and I'll probably tell myself to find more of an equal balance of social life and study. Cause I went all the way in on study, and there was I don't want to say I missed out, because I don't believe that you can't miss out on a party. I don't believe, you missed out on a party. Parties, there's always a party, always a chance to celebrate. But to just be a little more social.
Yeah, I mean, people missed out on you. You know what I'm saying?
Quite, they did. I did lots of plays. I did lots of things that people didn't really didn't come check out. You know what I mean? Which is, no one's obligated to come see your play. You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess, maybe people did miss out, but I would say definitely to socialize more, to build those social skills more early. Don't get so in your head about, perfecting your monologue and knowing all theater history, but, it's equally important to know everyone's name and make sure they know yours too.
Yeah, one of my regrets, man, I wish I would have did more stuff off campus. Like, I really didn't explore DC or make more connections like that. And I wish I would have, met more people that was from like the Caribbean and, African and, just bonded with more people. But at the same time, I did bond with quite a few people, but I just got in that comfort zone and I was like, yo, this is all I need. But 100%. What about your legacy, man? What do you want your legacy to be?
Man, it's not something I think about too often. Maybe it would be different if I had kids of my own, but I would say my legacy would be when I'm gone, that his work, that I work with purpose. Anything I do is a purpose behind it. I don't rap just because I can. I don't act just because I want to walk a red carpet. There's lots of roles I didn't take because it wasn't right. And I could, in the music world, I could do pop hits, man. I could rap I could talk all that BS too. But what for? So I would say that my legacy would be, to work with purpose.
Be young. You've been a great guest, bruh.
Thank you, man. I want to tell the people that
that's how we want it to be. Now listen, fundamental laws written on the temple walls. I vibrate however you get involved. What you tripping off? Sorry, I don't make minstrel songs for you to posture and begin to floss. Nah, somebody tell me how much longer will this shit prolong? The last act, no epilogue. Now we past that. No,
what's up?
This not a
what up, B? What you know about this, bro?
Yeah, and so we get it at last. Everything we at once envision starting to pass. We only out for what we destined to have.
So let me tell the people where they can get it.
Birthrights, baby.
Yeah, that's the song Birthrights off the Philwalkie album right here. You can get it at philwalkie.com. Check that out right there. Philwalkie, okay? We've got t-shirts, we've got records, we've got pins, and we've got more music on the way, more content. And you can follow me on Instagram, Be Young Works. That's where I present all my work. You can see the music videos there, and you can get all the updates. And
woo, this joint hit hard though. This joint hit hard, don't it? Yeah. Hey, production's so crazy on this, man.
That's solo.
Yeah, that means y'all.
So yeah, take that to the gym with you, man.
Yeah. Y'all was not fucking around with this, man. At all. Damn,
so yeah, go to philwalkie.com. Say what?
12 tracks too?
12 songs, yeah.
Man.
It's about 36 minutes.
Ooh, that joint hit hard, boy. Yeah. You hear that?
Yeah. I say trouble on my mind. Trouble on my... Yeah, I say damn.
Well, let me go, man. But yeah, bro. So is it a website? How do we follow you on social media, man?
I'm on Instagram, Be Young Works. It's the letter B. Young, Y-O-U-N-G, Works, W-O-R-K-S, B Young Works. That's the IG handle. And that's the extent of my social media. You can find me on Facebook as B Young's Music. And you can go to the site, philwelke.com. That's how you spell Phil Welke right there. You see that?
Yeah, bro, we need to do a Instagram live listening party, man. Well, what we gonna do, man? This is what we gonna do. We're gonna have an IG live listening party, man. I'm gonna just play your shit for the hour that they give us, man. We're gonna advertise it, and you just gonna be on there too, man. We gotta figure that out.
Yeah, let's do it, because we can do it down at the Phil Welke headquarters where Haz can be in there too.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah, definitely interested in
man.
that.
Just text me, man, when we could do it. I'll just I got all them followers on the Howard, what's the name? We could advertise it. People can just tune in and listen, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend checking out the Instagram handle, B Young Works on IG. And then from there, that you can springboard to our shop. You can springboard to everything that we've got going on. You can check out the music videos and all the different content. And we've got much more stuff that's on the way. Everything is developing. There's new things that are getting added to our plans and plots every day, you know, because we're constantly creating, you know. We just shot a music video for the single 100 Thou, the song that Primo played. We just shot the video. We finished that last night. And we've got more music on the way, too.
Okay, 100 Thou.
So what are you running off of right now? You're playing it off of Spotify?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I listen to it. I think I listened to every song you got off of on Spotify today. I got to work. I was like, let me see what this dude is on. Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.